What to do before sleep to boost brain function, memory tips after 60. Hello my old friends. Have you ever been lying in bed, the lights are off, everything is quiet, but your head is still spinning like a blender? The memories of the day, old and new stories, images, voices, even things you haven't understood or remembered yet, seem to be running wild in your brain. That feeling is both familiar and tiring, right? It's strange, when you wake up the next morning, sometimes you can't remember what you were thinking, but you still feel like you've just gone through a long dream with all kinds of confusion. And then there are other nights, when you lie down, your heart is light, your eyes close for a few minutes, then you wake up feeling more alert and clear than usual. Sometimes you even remember a detail that you forgot during the day. Like, oh, what's the name of that song, or who should I call today? Everything appears clearly as if someone has tidied up everything for you while you sleep. Actually, it's not a vague feeling. It's the way our brains, especially after the age of 60, are trying to organize information after a long day. And this, according to neuroscientists in the US, does not happen naturally. Sleep is like a filing room, and the brain is a librarian who is diligently sorting out every piece of memory, emotion, and knowledge of the day to put in the right place. But if before going to sleep, we do not clean up the desk, do not turn off the computer, do not close the doors of the mind, then the librarian will have to work in a mess. The result is that sleep is not deep, the brain is messy, and the next morning we wake up with a tired mind. So, the question is, before going to bed, what can we do to help the brain organize better? No need for modern equipment, no need for specialized knowledge, just a few small actions, a few gentle changes in daily habits. And when those things are repeated regularly, they will be like a key that opens a quiet door, helping the brain to fulfill its role as a memory cleaner. Today, we will learn about those things together. Not in a rigid theoretical way, but sincerely sharing from the experiences of people who have passed the age of 60 like us, combined with interesting discoveries of modern science. We will talk about how to breathe, how to take notes, how to listen to ourselves, and even things that seem very ordinary like turning off the lights, stopping watching TV at the right time, but can create a deep night's sleep and a clear morning. And to start, I want to tell you a little story. A few years ago, I met an old friend from high school in Oregon. At that time, she had just retired for 2 years, looking tired even though her life was not lacking in anything. When asked, she said that, for some reason, her memory was so bad recently, sometimes she forgot the name of the person she was talking to. At first she was worried about Alzheimer's, but after a general checkup, everything was fine. The problem was something that no one expected: sleep. It turned out that she had a habit of lying in bed every night, scrolling through her phone to read the news, and then falling asleep without realizing it. Her eyes were closed, but her brain was not resting. Hearing that, I suddenly realized that this was not just anyone's problem. Many of us, whether parents, grandparents, or ourselves, carry with us small habits that silently affect our brain's ability to organize and remember. And one of the first habits that needs to be changed is closing the day before going to bed. In fact, there is something that neuroscientists at the University of California have said, which is that our brains do not always distinguish between important information and trivial information. It records everything. This filing will take place during sleep, especially in the deep sleep stage. If we expose ourselves to disturbing news or highly emotional content before bed, whether it's war news, politics, or even a dramatic TV show, our brains will take it all with them into sleep. It prioritizes the emotionally charged information. As a result, the things we really want to remember, like our child's advice, a doctor's appointment, or a great idea from the day, get pushed to the back burner. So, the first thing we should do is to reduce the load on our brains 30 minutes before bedtime. Specifically, take a break from electronic devices. Whether it's a TV, phone, or tablet, the blue light from these devices not only strains our eyes, but also directly affects the production of melatonin, the hormone that regulates sleep. When blue light blocks melatonin, sleep comes more slowly, and sleeps less deeply. So, if possible, practice a new habit: turn off your devices at least 30 minutes before going to bed. Instead, you can turn on some soft music, listen to the sound of the ocean waves, or simply sit quietly in your room, looking at the space around you. And here's the second thing, which I believe any one of us can do: write a few lines on paper. It doesn't have to be a long diary entry, nor does it have to be anything big. Just write down 3 things that happened during the day that you remember the most. It could be a small story, a call from a grandchild in New York, or just the comfort of sitting down for an afternoon tea. Writing by hand, handwriting, not typing, activates the hippocampus, which is primarily responsible for storing long-term memories. When we write something down, our brain understands that it is important and needs to be retained. And so, while we sleep, it will prioritize processing those memories in an orderly manner. A study at Princeton University also found that people who write by hand in the evening often have better concentration and memory the next day. Even if it is just a few lines, writing is like sending a signal to the brain: I have chosen these things to remember. Please keep them safe for me. And then, the third thing is breathing. Sounds simple, right? But not everyone knows how to breathe properly before going to bed. Normally, we breathe shallowly, quickly, and barely notice our breathing. But if we spend 5 minutes practicing a technique called 4-7-8 breathing before going to bed, it will be a great gift for the brain. It is very easy to do. Breathe in through the nose for 4 seconds, hold the breath for 7 seconds, then breathe out slowly through the mouth for 8 seconds. Repeat 4 times. According to Dr. Andrew Wall from the University of Arizona, this technique helps the nervous system reduce the activity of the stress reflex and activate the relaxation system. When the body is relaxed, the brain will easily switch to maintenance and organization mode. Just like when we clean the house, turn off the music, turn on the lights and start folding everything, sorting will become much easier and more effective. It is strange that simple things, turning off the phone, writing a few notes, and breathing properly, can change the way our brains operate during sleep. It's like setting the stage for an important play. The brain files itself, removes unnecessary information, connects fragments of memories, and refreshes our thinking. So, after exploring these first 3 things together, from reducing information, writing down important things, to slow breathing before bed, we can see that sleep is not just a time to rest. It is when the brain works silently but miraculously. There are a few more things that I believe you will find equally interesting. They not only help you sleep better, but also make each morning clearer, lighter, and more worth living. Let's move on to the next part of this journey. We have just gone through the first 3 things together. These things seem simple but are a very powerful start. But as I said at the end of the previous part, the journey to take care of the brain during sleep does not stop there. There are still gentle, natural things that if done regularly, you will feel a clear difference not only in the quality of your sleep but also in your alertness the next morning. There is one thing that I believe everyone has experienced: lying down to sleep with anger, resentment, or worry in your heart. Whether it is a sentence that you have not had time to express to your child, a missed call, or simply a feeling of regret because the day has passed too quickly without you doing anything meaningful. Those emotions, if not released, will silently become obstacles that prevent deep sleep. And when sleep is not complete, the brain cannot complete the process of organizing information effectively. So the next thing I want to share is a simple but powerful thing: forgive and let go right in your mind, before closing your eyes to sleep. It sounds a bit abstract, but in fact, you just need to take a few minutes to sit still and ask yourself, am I still angry with anyone today? Is there anything I regret? Am I holding on to something that is not worth taking with me to sleep? If so, take a deep breath and whisper to yourself, I'll put this aside for now. I forgive them, and myself. I'll rest, so that tomorrow will be brighter. Many people who have tried this have realized something profound. When we let go of our mental burdens, our brains no longer have to expend energy processing complicated emotions. They will devote all their energy to focusing on what's important. And just like wiping a clean desk before starting to sort through papers, a clear mind is the ideal desk for the brain to operate during sleep. I remember talking to an old man in his 80s who had been an elementary school teacher for nearly 40 years. He told me that what kept him so clear-headed was not brain supplements or a special diet, but rather that every night before going to bed he cleared his mind. He didn't let anything get in the way the next day. Whether it's a small matter like a disobedient student or a big matter like a child disobeying him, he always chooses to close the lid before closing his eyes. Let's think about it tomorrow. Tonight, I have to let my brain really rest, he said with a gentle smile. If you find it difficult to forgive or let go immediately, there is an easier way. Say thank you before going to bed. No need to say it out loud, just in your head. Take a few minutes to remember the small things that made you feel grateful during the day. It could be a delicious meal, a beautiful sunshine, a neighbor smiling in the afternoon. Gratitude, according to many scientific studies, has the ability to calm the amygdala in the brain, the area that processes negative emotions. When we say thank you, the brain will secrete serotonin, a neurotransmitter that helps us feel secure and fall asleep more easily. And in that state of relief, the brain will save more positive memories than sad ones. Next, there is a rather strange thing that few people pay attention to. The temperature and light in the bedroom also strongly affect the brain's ability to remember. It sounds like it is related to sleep, not memory, but in fact, the two things are very closely linked. The brain can only organize information effectively when the body falls into deep sleep, that is, the stage when the body temperature drops slightly, the heart rate slows down, and the surrounding environment must be truly safe according to the brain's natural perception. When the room temperature is too high, the brain will have to work to regulate body temperature, that is, spend energy on other things, instead of focusing on processing information. On the contrary, if the room is too cold, the body will also be stressed and have difficulty sleeping deeply. The ideal temperature is usually between 24 and 26 degrees Celsius for the elderly. As for lighting, soft, yellow light is the best choice for bedtime. Many people have the habit of sleeping with bright lights or white lights. This not only reduces the quality of sleep but also disrupts the melatonin cycle, preventing the brain from going into a state of clearing memories. If possible, you should use a yellow-orange night light, which can be adjusted in brightness, and should be turned off completely when you are ready to sleep. In addition, there is a small but extremely useful action, that is, listening to familiar sounds every night, as a way to tell the brain that it's time to rest. It can be the sound of simulated rain, the sound of a stream, the sound of night birds, or even a piece of soothing classical music that you have listened to since your youth. These sounds, if repeated regularly, will become a signal that helps the brain easily switch to relaxation mode and begin the process of organizing information. Just as children are lulled to sleep by songs, adults also need a melody to bring them back to a peaceful state. An old lady I know still has a small cassette player from 1980. Every night, she plays a familiar Von Co song, not to listen to the lyrics, but to feel the familiarity. She said that after just a few minutes, she feels like she is back to her 20s, lying next to her grandmother lulling her to sleep. That familiar feeling soothes her nerves and puts her to sleep very quickly. I also want to add something that seems unrelated to the brain, but is a powerful assistant: sleeping position. According to experts at Stony Brook University, New York, lying on your side, especially on your right side, helps the brain's lymphatic system remove neural waste more effectively. Simply put, when we lie on our side, the flow of cerebrospinal fluid will be more open, supporting the process of cleaning up unnecessary molecules after a long day of activity. This pose is especially useful for older people because it reduces pressure on the heart, helps you breathe more evenly, and thus allows the brain to work at night more effectively. So now, you have in your hands many small but valuable keys to open the door to quality sleep, where the brain can freely organize, filter, and refresh its own thinking system. I know, you may be thinking, there are too many things, I wonder if I can do them all. But don't worry. No one starts everything at once. Choose one thing that feels closest to you, maybe writing a few lines, or turning off your phone a little earlier, and try to maintain it for a few days. When you feel a slight change, you will naturally want to do more of the remaining things. And then, every night you will have a small, private, and very warm ritual, not to force yourself to sleep, but to give your brain a truly ideal environment so that it can serve you better every day. In the next part, I will share with you a few more subtle secrets, including how to eat dinner on time, what foods should not be eaten close to bedtime, as well as how touching nature, even just a small potted plant, can also have a positive impact on memory. The journey to befriending sleep and the brain still has many interesting things ahead. Please continue with me. As we enter our 60s, all the changes in the body become more obvious. A sleepless night is no longer just a matter of feeling sleepy or sluggish the next morning, but it brings with it a series of silent consequences: blurred memory, a foggy mind, easily fluctuating emotions, and even an increased risk of falling. So, what we do before going to bed is no longer just a habit, but an essential part of maintaining alertness and clarity. And at this time, every small gesture in the evening has a great meaning for tomorrow. Something that everyone seems to know but few people take seriously, that is dinner time. You may have heard the advice that you should not eat too late, but not everyone knows the reason behind it is closely related to brain activity during sleep. When we eat dinner too close to bedtime, for example, after 8 p.m., the digestive system is still working hard when we lie down in bed. At this time, instead of resting and focusing on the process of reorganizing memory, the body's energy is dispersed to digest. The brain is very smart but also very calculating. It will prioritize the activities that are happening in the body, and storing memories and organizing information will have to be put on hold. That explains why many people who eat dinner late often have restless sleep and wake up feeling as if they have just come out of a fog. Ideally, we should eat dinner between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. This not only helps digestion to take place completely before going to bed, but also synchronizes with the natural biological clock, which is programmed to rest after sunset. If conditions do not allow for eating early, at least try to have a light, easy-to-digest, low-fat dinner. A bowl of porridge, a few slices of steamed sweet potatoes, or some boiled vegetables are enough. When the body is properly fed in the evening, it will give the green light for the brain to start its work effectively. In addition to mealtime, the type of food we eat in the evening also plays a very important role. There are foods that seem harmless but secretly disrupt sleep and the brain's information processing. For example, sugar and caffeine, two things that many people do not know are still effective until late at night. A cup of iced coffee drunk at 3 p.m. may seem to have worn off, but for older people, the time it takes for the body to eliminate caffeine can last up to 10 hours. That means if you drink coffee in the late afternoon, your nerves will still be stimulated until 1 a.m. The brain cannot enter deep sleep when it is still kept awake. Similarly, sweet desserts, such as cakes, sweetened tea, and milk, although delicious, can spike insulin, causing metabolic disorders and fragmented sleep. When the brain has to wake up many times in the middle of the night, it will have difficulty completing the task of organizing information during REM sleep, a stage that is extremely important for long-term memory retention. On the contrary, there are some foods that are extremely sleep and brain-friendly if consumed in the evening, such as walnuts, lotus seeds, ripe bananas, oats, or unsweetened warm milk. These foods contain tryptophan, an amino acid that helps the body produce serotonin and melatonin, two great friends for deep sleep and effective brain function during sleep. In addition to eating, there is one thing that I think we all accidentally forget, that is connecting with nature, even just a little, before going to bed. It sounds dreamy, but it is actually an extremely practical way to calm the brain and help it start the information sorting process. You don't have to go to the park or walk around the lake. Just a few minutes of tending to a small potted plant, watering a vegetable patch on the balcony, or simply sitting and looking at the moon through the window. This action not only helps the body slow down but also creates a sense of connection between you and the natural world. That calmness makes the mind more stable, and the brain will receive the signal. It is time to switch from the state of active thinking to silent processing. Researchers at the University of Michigan have found that just 10 minutes of exposure to nature each day, even just visually, can improve concentration and short-term memory by up to 20%. So if we do this before bed, it is like inviting the brain into a relaxing space so that it can work more effectively when we are asleep. And the last thing I want to say is to believe in yourself, in your own ability to learn and remember, regardless of age. I have met many people who say to themselves, "I am old, I can't remember anything, every day I forget things, how can I organize them anymore?" These words seem harmless, but they are the most direct way to make the brain withdraw from the task. Because the brain, just like a muscle, if its owner refuses to trust it, it will gradually stop trying. On the contrary, if we believe that we can still learn and remember, the brain will respond by expanding new neural networks, even though we are old. Over the years of living and talking with friends of the same age, I have realized one thing: people who maintain good memories are not those who eat elaborately or train their brains in complicated ways. They are those who live purposefully, know how to take advantage of every small moment to take care of themselves, and most importantly, they do not give up the belief that they are still valuable. So, when you prepare to go to bed tonight, do not just think that you are lying down to rest. Think that you are creating conditions for your brain, your most loyal friend throughout life, to do its important work. Every little thing you do before going to sleep, from the way you eat, the way you breathe, the way you say thank you, or just the way you talk to yourself, is a gift for your memory, for your sanity, for your future. I hope that the sharing in this video has given you a new perspective on sleep and the brain. There is no one-size-fits-all approach, but if we start with genuine self-care, even small changes can open the door to a long-term journey of health and clarity. If you have any bedtime habits that you feel help your memory or mood, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Who knows, your story might inspire someone else looking to improve their life. And if you found this content helpful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so we can meet again in the next topics. Wishing you a good night's sleep, and a morning when you wake up with a clear mind and full of vitality. Because no matter what age we are, we all deserve a healthy brain, full of beautiful memories and precious clarity. Thanks for listening. See you in the next video.